Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
We're back for another fine episode of Brew Strong here in lovely downtown Concord at the Hop Grenade.
And happy to be here.
If you happen to be in the area, like you're coming out for the Winterfest, stop by the Hop Grenade afterwards. Should be cool. John and I will be here.
That's right.
Matter of fact, we're doing shows that Friday before it. You come into town, hang out for some Brew Strong shows, hang out the next day for the Winterfest. Sunday, go get your liver replaced. There you go.
Yeah, you're staying in town, right, Palmer?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I have to kind of clear the schedule with my wife, but I think it'd be worthwhile to stay there and talk with some fine brewers and some good beer drinkers that you'll have there at Winterfest.
There you go. You know who's a fine drinker?
Ah, yes.
Our good friend John Blickman.
He is indeed.
He'll get his drink on. I mean, he's a pretty sober guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll drink. He'll drink.
Yeah,
you know.
He's got a twinkle in his eye.
He enjoys his beer.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a little ribald in his tales every once in a while. You wouldn't think so, right?
Right.
You hang out with the dude long enough, you hear it. He tells a... He works a little blue every once in a while, I think. Huh?
But he's a brewer like the rest of us.
He is. He's a great guy. And where he's not like the rest of us is he's smart and
innovative.
He's got innovative. He's got a great engineering mind, and he puts that great mind to work at Blickman Engineering. I guess that's why they named the company after him. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But they make all sorts of cool stuff to make your brew day better. So go check them out. They sponsor the show, so you don't have to pay a dime for the show. Blickman Engineering's picking up the tab on that. BlickmanEngineering.com, Blickman with two N's. Check them out. They'll be at the Homebrewers Conference, too. They'll have a nice booth there, and you can touchy-feely a lot of the stainless steel. You can probably touchy-feely John Blickman himself. Have a wild time. You have my permission.
There you go.
Waiting for the first person to touch John, and then I'll hear about it.
Jamil said so.
Jamil said so. Trying to come and punch me in the junk. Just know that's going to happen. Speaking of punching me in the junk, we've got a great show lined up for you. Q&A. Q&A. If you have questions that you'd like us to address on the show, you send them to brewstrong at thebrewingnetwork.com. And we get those. And while we don't respond to them immediately, what we do is we save them up. And then when we do a show like today, I go through and I search them. And today's show is going to be on mash efficiency. We've got a bunch of you that ask questions about mash efficiency. We bundle those together into a show, and you learn everything you needed to know about mash efficiency. So very cool. Send your show questions to brewstrong at thebrewingnetwork.com. Scott, our first question
is from John Gladden, who said, "Dearest..."
Another John. I got a lot of Johns.
Nothing but Johns, man. Luckily, no one's named John anymore. I mean, your peers are, right. But soon it's just going to be like Aiden and Taylor, and there won't be any Johns left.
There you go.
Well, in the meantime, this John says, "Dearest knowledgeable sirs of the inebrial arts, I'm tired of making almost good beer. I've got a question about the mash efficiency and extracting undesirables from the grain. Details of my mash procedure below, but in essence, the question is, does very high extraction efficiencies also extract other undesirable grain components like tannins that can cause off flavors in the final beer?"
Well, and I think this is part of what John was proving in the previous show when he did his experiment about steeping grains and steeping boiling grains. The higher the temperature, generally, the more you're going to extract. pH plays a role in that. The specific gravity of the solution you're using to extract plays a role in that. So, you can extract harsh, unpleasant flavors at a high enough temperature in a long enough time, and in the improper conditions, pH-wise. But the biggest thing is, driving that extraction to extremes. There are unpleasant compounds in those grains, and you don't want those.
So he does go on to say that he does a high 85 to 90% extraction, and so that's his issue, basically, is what you're saying.
Oh, he's getting high extraction.
Yes.
So he's talking about high mash efficiency, and if your efficiency is too high, what's the problem? Well, it may not be too much of an issue. It's an issue when you're extracting more, of those kind of husk, tannin, grainy kind of things. Then I think you got more of a problem. But not necessarily because if you got a good crush and you're waiting and you got good sparging, may not be as much. I don't know, John.
I agree with
your
you,
take on that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I typically get 85% efficiency with my rig, but again, I'm doing pH adjustment, or I'm on top of that, and my sparge rate is low. I'm doing recirculation. I mean, there are several positive reasons that I'm getting high extraction efficiency, and my beers don't have astringent off flavors. Things.
So you say?
Yes, right. At least the couple that I've done. But you can easily oversparge, to try to get higher efficiency, and then boil longer to get your numbers, and that definitely will give you a more stringent brew, because the pH is generally rising during the lauter, and especially if you're doing a lot of sparging or oversparging, you can get a lot of tannin extraction out of the bed. So, and that's part of the basis of why you say don't shoot for high extraction efficiency, is because is to warn people away from the possibility of oversparging.
Well, right, and I think so. In and of itself, good efficiency is not necessarily the problem. It's how that efficiency is being achieved.
Yes.
And are you over-sparging and letting the pH drop, or go up, way too high, and getting into a condition where you're extracting those flavors and then boiling it down and concentrating it. I think that is, something you want to avoid. But you could do 85 to 90 without that problem. Generally, when somebody homebrewing tells me they're getting 90% efficiency, I believe most of the time. I don't know that this is the case, but I've seen it enough times that their measurements are off when they're calculating their efficiency. So their kettle indicator, the amount that they're getting there, they're like, oh yeah, and the volume is off just like a quarter gallon, a couple of quarts. That's enough to seriously throw off your efficiency number. So I kind of take it with a grain of salt.
How seriously? Like, are you talking they're getting 70, but they think they're getting 85? Like, how big is the...
I've seen that too, where somebody, they're totally calculating it wrong. And
they could be off by that much.
I'm getting like 120%.
Oh, I see. It can be a lot. It can be like 15, 20 points.
Yeah. I
mean, 10 would be, I think.
Yeah. Generally, in the 10. There's enough slop in the readings, and so that's a potential hole to fall into as well. So just be careful of that. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more of your questions about mash efficiency right after this.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
But Doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at Cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. Are you a member of the American Homebrewers Association? Well, you should be. Members of the AHA can focus on brewing beer, and the AHA takes care of the rest. The American Homebrewers Association advocates on behalf of homebrewers like you to legalize the hobby in all 50 states and make sure that beer laws make sense. Plus, there are many great benefits that come with your AHA membership, like AHA member deals that give you awesome deals at bars, restaurants, breweries, and more. Zymergy Magazine and eZymergy for tons of articles, how-tos, easy-to-follow recipes, and news about the hobby you love, and access to the members-only content on homebrewersassociation.org. But the AHA can't do it without your support. Join today so the American Homebrewers Association can keep fighting for your homebrewing rights. Visit homebrewersassociation.org or join now from the homepage of the Brewing Network website. Relax. Don't worry. It's the American Homebrewers Association.
Starting a brewery is not for the faint of heart. It's definitely a labor of love. If you're not going to give it 100%, don't bother.
Brewers Publications is proud to present the Brewers Association Guide to Starting Your Own Brewery by Elysian Brewing's Dick Cantwell. Business plans, financing, sustainability, and more. This book takes you through the planning and execution needed to turn the dream of craft brewing into a reality. Whether you want to open a brew pub or a packaging brewery, learn the professional side of ingredients, wastewater, quality, and how to build the craft brewery of the future. The Brewers Association Guide to Starting Your Own Brewery. Available now from Brewers Publications and brewerspublications.com.
Like the Lance Armstrong of the beer world. Except for that nut thing. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. And I want to remind everybody, you want to sign up for the AHA. Are you an AHA member, Scott?
Yes.
There you go. Good answer.
Yes?
Yeah. Yes? No, it's easy, too. You can go to thebrewingnetwork.com, click on that AHA logo there, and you sign up. And for one low fee, you get the Zymergy magazine, you get the pub discount program, you get all the great forums that they got, you get a discount on the National Homebrewers Conference, the competition, the GABF members-only session. You get a lot of things that are quite well worth it. Not to mention the fact that they're looking out for homebrewers and the homebrew cause amongst the halls of government. So, well worth your support. Good people there. Check them out. AHA. All right, so what's our next question on mash efficiency, Scott?
It's from Jake Weisgerhoff. And he said, I'm an all-grain brewer, and so far all of my brews start off with original gravity reading that always seems to be about 0.010 lower than what it should be at about 70% efficiency on my Beersmith software. I only measure OG from the bucket after going through the Therminator. I hear you guys talk on the show about measuring pre-boil runnings and if they are low boil longer before starting the 60-minute boil and hop schedule, but my refractometer is calibrated with distilled water at room temp. And it says it only measures at temps from 50 to 86 Fahrenheit. I can get a rest reading, but how accurate is it at 152 degrees or a sparge reading at 170 or boiling at 212? I've looked online and it seems all refractometers say the same thing, that they're only accurate from 50 to 86. Is this true?
Right. That is true. Because all these ones with, temperature compensation, here's the trick. Here's the secret. Long-time homebrewer, first-time caller, whatever. Take yourself a teaspoon or a tablespoon if you're feeling generous, and you dip yourself out a sample. Get yourself an ice cube from your freezer, right? If you don't have ice cubes, you don't live in the U.S., or, just get yourself an ice cube tray and put that in the freezer so you always have ice cubes. Take an ice cube. You get your metal tablespoon or teaspoon. You dip your sample, and then you rest the back of the spoon on the ice cube. It will cool that sample down in no time at all to your target temperature range. And then you put a couple of drops on your refractometer, and you're good to go.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Quick and easy. And if he's only 0.01 off, 0.001, right?
0.010, yeah.
Oh?
I think he's, what did he say here?
If it's 01,
it's 10 points.
Yeah. That would be like, the difference between 1040 and 1050.
0.010. 0.010 lower than what it should be, is what it says.
Wow.
Okay, so there you go. Am I misreading that?
Yeah, that could be like 20% off on a 1050. Yeah, that's huge. Unless he had his typo there. Because if you're like 001, then who cares? But if he's that far off, yeah, that's substantial. And so
it could be volume measurements again, though.
Right. And here's the other thing. So in Brewing Classic Styles, you gotta read the frickin' chapter How to Brew These Beers. I know you already know how to brew, but what you don't know is the parameters of the recipe. And this is the things that people avoid, don't discuss. They're like, give me a recipe for whatever. It's like, well, do you know exactly what the volume is? Do you know what formulas were used? All that's explained in that chapter of the book. And so all those recipes are done for 6 gallons. at the end of the boil. Okay, so it's 6 gallons, but a lot of times people do 6 gallons in the software, and the software has all these parameters, hidden parameters of, oh, you've wasted a half a gallon here and a half a gallon there, and then, they've got these completely different numbers. I get rid of all that crap, and I just go like, okay, at the end of the boil, what do I have? That's the easiest thing, I think, to mention, or to measure and to pay attention to. So, you need to be aware of those numbers as well, huh?
All right, next one from Phil Butts. He said, hey, John and Jamil, I have a question regarding lowering your mash efficiency. In brewing classic styles, and frequently on the BN, I've heard Jay-Z mention that a beer brewed at a lower efficiency, like 70%, will produce a more flavorful beer than one brewed at higher efficiency. Question is how to lower efficiency of your system. I batch sparge, trying to collect all of my wort in 2 equal collections. On beers under 1065, I achieve 78% above that my efficiency. I achieve 78%. Above that, my efficiency tends to drop off as gravity increases. I know I could use a no sparge technique, but I'm just curious if there are other techniques out there that could lower a system's efficiency. And please start shipping Heretic beer to New York, he says.
It's just kind of a general thing as to when, I don't know that you want to necessarily lower your efficiency. I mean, if you're running 70% or 75% or whatever, you're fine. Even if you're running more, it depends on how you're achieving that efficiency. So, but, blanket general statement, if you're using, homebrew equipment and you're generally, achieving 90+%, I would worry about that. As I would if you're using homebrew equipment and you're achieving like 50%. I think, you want to kind of steer yourself towards the middle. If you're a little on the high side, a little on the low side, who cares? I don't think it's going to change the flavor that much. But again, like John was showing in his extraction experiment in the previous show, more extraction changes the flavor. You're extracting other things than when you extract less. What do you think on that, John?
I think you're right. You don't necessarily want to lower your efficiency to try to improve flavor. What you can do is go to a no sparge technique where you're doing more of a first runnings beer. Mm-hmm. That will have a richer flavor. But again, you also have to look at the rest of the beer. What final gravity you're trying to achieve, what kind of beer character you're trying to achieve. Going back to what you were saying a minute ago, your recommendation to try to kind of assume 70% efficiency is merely to kind of get in the middle of the ballpark, not have people striving for 90% efficiency where you can get a lot of extraneous extraction problems. And at the same time, to not be satisfied with 50% efficiency. Something's definitely wrong there. The question is kind of putting the cart before the horse, or the effect instead of the cause. Yeah.
Well, I think you bring up a good point there, John. I think, when I was saying that was in response to people constantly trying to get, over 90% in efficiency. They were like, right. efficiency. And it's like, why in the world are you worrying about efficiency? By doing that, by, doing whatever you can to increase that number, you're really hurting your beer flavor. But that's not to say if you're hitting 80 and you're not really, pushing it, there's nothing wrong with that, 80, 85. It's when you're, doing these bizarre things, trying to squeeze every last. Yeah, you're saving yourself a few cents worth of malt, and you're not. At that point, you've lost sight of the big picture, which is the quality of the beer, I think. But you know, if what you get out of homebrewing is geeking out over the numbers and, you know, making that happen, then by all means do that. You know, and your beer's not as good because of that. If that's what you enjoy. But I think the whole point of that, all my rants about, you know, not trying to get too high in efficiency were about that versus, well, if your efficiency is high, lower your efficiency. Yeah?
Correct. Yes.
There you go.
I keep having
right.
mute because I'm being attacked by lumberjacks here.
Are they wearing plaid?
Well, I am. That's half the trouble, I think.
They think you're one of them.
Yeah. You know, if you hang one of those no lumberjack strips, that tends to take care of it.
It's right next to the no soliciting sign on the shelf at Lowe's. No lumberjacks.
There you go.
All right, here's Jeff Burton saying, there seems to be some confusion amongst my club and our local homebrew shop owner. He claims that the maximum efficiency with batch sparging is 65%. He also suggests to get better efficiency, simply add more grain. Can you clarify for me, please?
John, you want to jump on that one?
Sure. Yeah, a little confusion here on the definition of extraction and extract and efficiency. You can definitely get better than 65% efficiency with batch sparging.
Mm-hmm.
And adding a little more grain, you're not trying to increase efficiency. What you're trying to do is increase your total extract that you would get for the batch. You know, in other words, to get more gravity points, whether you want a stronger beer or, you know, a larger volume of beer, that's what you're doing when you're adding more grain. The efficiency aspect tends to come from degree of crush, pH, temperature, conversion efficiency of, you know, the performance of your enzymes, that is, in the mash, and your lautering. Lautering is a big impact on efficiency. How well you extract the sugars from the grain bed, how well you rinse the grain bed to get more extract out of that grain, all those things affect efficiency and what your total extract is for the batch.
Yeah, crush is huge, and louder speed, very huge.
Yeah.
And the rest, and you know, and the weird thing is, you know, people on the internet and people reading a lot of stuff, they focus on all these various things that, you know, big brewers, and when I'm talking big brewers, I'm talking the giant mega brewers, when they can eke out a 0.1% of efficiency, then they're talking millions of dollars.
Right.
For pretty much every craft brewer and every home brewer, it's not worth it. It's not worth, worrying about a lot of that stuff. But, crush is easy to change if you have your own mill. And if you don't, well, then don't change it at all. And, the louder speed you can change. I think that, there's a lot of people that poo-poo batch sparging. And it sounds like, that's the case here. There's nothing wrong with batch sparging. Batch sparging is great. No problems with it whatsoever. There's no drawback really to batch sparging. I mean, there's the potential there for a thing, but the great thing about batch sparging is you can, let it sit for a while and then drain it off and drain off slowly and not worry about, my incoming water and all that stuff. And
right.
So a lot of people that aren't set up to do a really good fly sparge actually get more efficiency with batch sparging than they do with a poorly executed fly sparge.
Right.
Because you can let it sit longer very easily. Just walk away, go have a beer, whatever. Watch an episode of SpongeBob. And then come back and then drain it off nice and slowly. Batch sparging is great for homebrewers, I think. So, yeah, I think in theory you can get to 100% with batch sparging. Congress mash, and there you go, and batch sparge. Not an issue. So there you go. And yes, if you're running short of your gravity points, instead of struggling trying to figure out why you're not getting 75 instead of 72%, just throw in a little more grain. Your system will be happy that way. All right.
Yep.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we will have more of your questions right after this.
Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lalamond and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lalamond and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2015 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2015 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth almost $4,000. From now until December 13th, 2014, every Danstar yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter.
Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar
2015 Beer School Contest.
Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lalamond Premium Brewing Yeast, and enter to win.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater
for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, during the break you missed what classic movies should you have seen, youngster, from the old dude?
I guess Night of the Living Dead made up all the zombie rules?
Yes, Night of the Living Dead.
Is it about like what, that you can't kill them with a gun, and that if you get bit by one?
Do you not know the zombie rules?
Well, I know some of them. I know that if
apparently not.
If you get bit by one, you have to proclaim, or before you get bit, you have to say, "If I get bit, you got to shoot me. I know you don't want to, but you got to kill me. You got to kill me." They always do that, right? I know that rule.
You
no,
please, don't embarrass me.
All right, I'll go watch the movie.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of embarrass me, John, have you shopped at AdamandEve.com?
No, I haven't. I was looking for some mash paddles, and I just couldn't seem to find them. But
yeah. They got some paddles there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Or they got things you could use for paddles. John, are you into S&M?
No.
Do you like gladiator movies?
No.
Do you enjoy being in the locker room with other men?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
But I like the movie Airplane.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think Pacific
Another classic
Rim
for the list.
That's a good one. You know that movie was PG-13?
Anything with rim in it, when we're talking about the sexual things, John, you should leave that out.
That should have been full of hot chicks. I mean, Pacific Rim, it would have been perfect.
Hot Asian chicks, yes?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Now we're talking. Well, what I was referring to was Adam and Eve, our fine sponsor, AdamandEve.com. Check them out. You go there, you use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, and you put one item in your cart, you use that offer code, you're going to get that item 50% off just about any one item they sell in their store. And then, that's all the money you're parting with. You're going to get a free extra gift, so essential I can't mention on air. You're going to get free shipping. And then you get to choose 3 free adult DVDs. Am I saying free a lot? That's because they give you a lot of free crap when you join up. And those DVDs, they're not crap. You get to choose your categories like anal, amateur, Asian, big breast, big butts, bisexual, skunky, co-ed, fetish, gay, POV, lesbian, and MILF, and many more. You get to choose from those categories. You get to choose your 3 free DVDs. They'll ship those for free as well. All for using the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at AdamandEve.com. And check it out right away. You could even do it from your mobile phone. There you go.
All right, moving along. It's Paul Bright with this next question. And he says, hey guys, do your extraction percentages vary based on the amount of grain you use in the mash? He says, I brew 5-gallon all-grain batches, and I have noticed my efficiency numbers range from 60 to 70%. The lower end of the spectrum coincides with a lighter grain bill in the 12 to 14 pound range. When I use 17 to 20 pounds of grain,
right.
My percentage drops. I think these differences are related to mixing, stirring the grains. Obviously, it's more challenging to stir with more grain in the mash. I batch sparge in a 10-gallon cylindrical cooler. Do other homebrewers experience these differences as well? Any suggestions are appreciated.
Well, in general, what I found was similar thing. Smaller grain bed, less efficiency. Bigger grain bed, more efficiency. Mm-hmm. Which, it's a little counterintuitive, but which really led me down the road of, because I've got a deeper mash bed, my travel time through the mash was longer, so slower sparge, better efficiency. And that's really what it boils down to, I think. John?
Yeah, and also as the OG that you're trying to reach increases, your efficiency will go down because of you have more sugar retained in the grain. higher concentration gradient to overcome.
He's experiencing the opposite.
Oh, he's experiencing the opposite?
Right. This is what I was saying. I experienced the opposite as well. Bigger, deeper grain bed, better efficiency. Shallow grain bed,
because of
lower efficiency.
The shorter, for the same flow rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a maximum to, what you can extract out of a given mash. There's a solubility factor that becomes a limiting factor. But when you're talking, your average... So this is one reason, when I was brewing, I would make 10 gallons of all my session beers. And, I'd do 5 gallons of my session beer, but I'd do 10 gallons of my bigger beers, which is completely the opposite. I've totally lost track. But really what it boiled down to was going with, going slower with the extraction. So the fact that you have more grain or less grain, you're making a 5-gallon batch, right? Your runoff time should be the same either way.
Yeah, okay.
I think that helps. So if I'm running off in 30 minutes, if I've got 4 inches of grain in there or 12 inches of grain, it should take the same amount of time because of the extraction rate. If you run it too quick, you don't get enough extraction. That's why your efficiency drops on these short mash beds.
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, and this is where batch sparging really helps. Where you can just leave the grains in the mash and
really extract.
Mm-hmm. Did we answer the question? I'm not sure.
It sounds like it.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
We'll call that one done.
Yeah. This is a kind of a long one. I'm going to try and get through it quickly. From Tracy Yates, he says, guys, can you talk a bit about ways to improve brewhouse efficiency, especially in regards to sparging? I use a 10-gallon all-grain system from Northern Brewer with 2 round coolers, one that serves as my mash tun lauter and the other as the hot liquor tank. Often I can't hit the ideal target, 70 to 75%, especially when brewing a big beer with more than 13 pounds of grain. The mash tun is almost at capacity with his triple, he says. Usually I just scale everything up a bit and can hit my target OG, but I'd really like to figure out where I'm falling short. My mash temps are fine and always on target. I generally fly sparge using a hose with a siphon sprayer. I always keep at least an inch of water over my grain bed and go slow. It usually takes about 45 minutes. I recirc about 5 to 6 liters until there are no grain particles before starting to collect the wort. I use 170-degree water or hotter. Always make sure the grain bed doesn't get too hot. With my last batch, I also floated a plastic lid on top of the water in the mash tun and sprayed the sparge water on that to make the sparging even more gentle. Generally, I collect 6.5 to 7 gallons of wort to boil.
John?
Go over the first part of the question again, Scott.
Talk a bit about ways to improve brewhouse efficiency with regards to sparging. He uses a 10-gallon system. He often can't hit his ideal target, 70 to 75%.
It's kind of the opposite of what we were just on the last question.
Yeah.
So he's having trouble when he gets to the big beers getting enough extract. His efficiency is dropping a little bit on that. He's close, but he's not quite there.
He wants to know where he's falling short, basically.
I got to imagine channeling.
Yeah, that sounds most likely. And the putting a pot lid on top of the mash can actually kind of encourage that in terms of the flow down the sides of the tun rather through the middle. When it sounds like he's using a lot of grain. He's got the cooler, the 10-gallon cooler, almost full. So, the problem or the reason to put a lid on top is to avoid digging holes in a shallow grain bed, but he's got a very deep grain bed, so that's not a concern. He may instead be getting channeling down the sides as a result. One way to improve his efficiency a bit is to stir the top of the grain bed as he's sparging, In other words, kind of raking the grain bed like a lot of professional brewing systems do. Make sure that he's getting good flow through the majority of the grain. You can stir down to within a couple inches of your false bottom if you do it, gently, and that will help make sure that you get uniform flow through the grain bed without, getting lots of small grist particles and lipids and so on into the wort.
Right. You can actually your mash can set up an area of low flow. Like you can. One of the things that stirring does is it helps homogenize the area that's being stirred.
Yeah.
Break up any denser areas. So, he's talking about recirculation and all that, and that's all great. When you initially set up your mash and you're initially doughing in and all that, one of the benefits of stirring is it homogenizes the whole thing. If you're adding grain to water or water to grain, you tend to end up with areas that are not quite as consistent as the rest of the mash. And so stirring, the purpose of stirring is multifold, but one key component of stirring is that it homogenizes the whole mash. And then when you do your recirculation and all that, if you're not, channeling down one side or boring a hole in the middle or whatever, at that point everything's set up evenly and it tends to flow evenly, and you get, better extraction. When you don't stir enough initially, you can have a denser area and a lighter area, and the flow will be through the lighter area. And that's when you can be off by, a little bit here or there.
The last part of Tracy's question is, he says, on a somewhat related note, can you recommend the most economical step up in a homebrewing system to be able to better control those mash temps? Is electric the future?
That's a lot of opinion there. I really do like the recirculating systems where you are able to, whether it's a RIMS or a what's the other acronym?
HERMS.
HERMS, yes. I think that does a lot to homogenizing or keeping the temperature very consistent during the entire mash.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you don't just let these things recirculate and walk away. You do want to stir it occasionally, make sure it's homogeneous, like Jamil says. You don't, where it doesn't form denser, less flow areas during the recirculation, during the mash. You want to keep that all kind of moving and fluid so that you get, uniform conversion, uniform extraction. But even though these RIMS and HERM systems can be a little bit pricey to buy, they're not too bad to build. They're fun to build, and I think they do provide a pretty good step up in efficiency and brewing fun.
Well, and since this is the Brewing Network, I wonder if we shouldn't be saying homogeneous instead of homogeneous.
What's that supposed to mean?
I just throwing that out there, for the Brewing Network listeners to decide. I think electric is nice, is a convenience factor. It depends on how the electric is being applied. I think in today's homebrew setups, electric is not so great because it's applying heat in one concentrated coil. I think the flame actually is better because it's across the broad base of the kettle. So I think that's a definite advantage there. And then in commercial brewing, what we use is steam, and steam's a very low heat, and we apply it across a broad surface area in order to get that. And I think that works quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, electricity can be a little expensive too. I mean, to really get good ramp rates with electricity, you almost have to use 220 to get enough heat into the system to give you a good ramp rate. for changing temperatures and so on. And for many people, you don't have a ready source of 220 at your home. Especially if you're in an apartment building or something, you've probably only got 110. So
crack open that panel. I'll tell you, we'll do a Jay-Z's electrical corner one of these days,
Okay.
and I'll tell you how to wire up your skeezy energy needs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
if you get electrocuted, just sue the Brewing Network. I really don't give a shit. There you go.
Those homos will pay you out.
Those homogeneous people will pay. All right, let's take a short
Geniuses.
break. Yeah, they're homos and geniuses. Yeah, there you go. Hey, it's a perfect fit.
I'll take it.
We need a new BN shirt. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with more of your questions right after this.
And now, Northern Brewer presents What If Homebrewers Ruled the World?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me, I will lead you into the gallery area. Now, the first piece up for sale today is a Jamil Zainasheff original, a bottle of 1997 vintage Evil Twin.
I see.
A bidding for this one-of-a-kind piece will start at £7,000. And if you'll continue to follow me, ladies and gentlemen, I can show you a rather abstract piece from Bay Area brewer Justin Crossley. It's a German Doppelbock entitled Justin's Giant Bock. The brewer's notes here indicate that this beer had excellent mouthfeel.
That's just a crazy dream. Or is it? With Northern Brewer, a thirsty nation can craft its own ale and lager for the greater good of mankind. Northern Brewer, the home of superior customer service and the finest selection of home brewing goods for the future.
Do you support the Brewing Network? Do you brew your own? Are you looking for an economical, fun, and legal way to do both? Subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine and do just that. All year long, Brew Your Own will surprise you, entertain you, and educate you with articles on beer and brewing from authors like the Brewing Network's very own Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Each issue is a full pint of brewing techniques, homebrew stories, tips and photos, projects to make yourself, and recipes for the avid home brewer. Get your tough questions answered by Mr. Wizard and polish your style accuracy with Jamil. A portion of every subscription goes to the Brewing Network, so subscribe today at byo.com/Brewing Network, or just click the BYO logo on the Brewing Network homepage and support a fantastic hobby and your favorite broadcaster. Brew Your Own, the how-to homebrew beer magazine.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry. And to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com.
Coupon code BNARMY.
I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Going to wrap up this show of mash efficiency questions from all of you to all of us.
Yeah. Let's take David's question. David Schaefer. He says, hi, I was wondering if you could give me your thoughts on a sparging technique I have been planning for my next brew. I am currently a brew-in-a-bag, all-grain brewer, recently upgraded from my kitchen stove to a turkey fryer. The fryer comes with a big basket with a handle that you are supposed to use to lift out the turkey. I was planning on putting the grain bag in this basket, and when the mash is done, pull out the basket and then use a grill grate to set the basket over the top of the kettle. At this point, I turn on the burner, heating the kettle, and pour the heated sparge water as evenly as I can over the top of the grain and allow it to drain through the grain and down into the kettle. I also plan to fabricate an insert or use some other means to close off the holes around the sides, forcing the water to drain through all of the grain rather than just come out the sides. I'll sparge this way until I'm nearly at my target pre-boil volume, then press the grain bag from the top to squeeze out the remaining fluid. Have you guys ever seen anybody do this? How do you think it will compare in efficiency to a traditional 3-vessel system and a traditional sparging technique?
I've seen similar.
Sounds like he's going to make a mess, but
yeah. That's homebrewing.
Yeah.
My only thing is don't squeeze the grain. I'd avoid that. We should probably do some experiments on squeezing versus non-squeezing. That's just something we've been repeating, I think. But it'll work. It'll work fine. Yeah. Anything else to add, John?
I guess I'm just stick in the mud traditionalist. I mean, the brew in the bag. Somebody emailed me last week talking about he was going to build a bucket in a bucket system to do small grain brewing with, and I thought, if you say, I want to, try brewing some more batches at home, and it's like, bucket in a bucket's good, but you don't have much in the way of insulation. You can wrap a sleeping bag, you can wrap stuff around, but it's like, for $3 more, buy a cooler and use that. So I'm always a little bit bemused when people don't brew the way I do, which, arrogance at its finest.
Well, no, I think, a lot of the stuff is done the way it's done because it works really well. And people trying to reinvent the wheel, wheel works. Yeah. You really do need to reinvent the wheel, and I guess that's kind of how putting the grate on top of the pot and so on, trying to force the water through it. It's like, rather than going through all of these jerry-rigged, situations, get a cooler, buy a false bottom, $6. One. Yeah,
and do it that way because it works really well.
Yeah, but I also understand. The
brewing a bag and
geeky, making stuff yourself and and having fun with that part of it. So I understand that. That makes perfect sense. And not doing commercially, so whatever. But I think if your goal is just great beer, it's not much more expensive to just do it the right way and not try and change things, like John's saying.
Well, this email is dated October 16, 2014. So, David, if you've already done this, write in and let us know how it went. Maybe he did reinvent the wheel, and we're in the dark.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, by all means.
All right, let's do one last one. This one's from Kerry Woods. He says, I came across a free ice cream maker motor that I've geared down to 30 RPM. I've seen people make mash stirrers with these. My system is a Sankey-based 3-vessel Herms with a flat, false bottom across the entire bottom of the mash tun. I've been getting overall efficiencies of 65 to 74%. What are the pros and cons of adding a stir to my mash tun? He says he already Vorlofts for most of the mash as his PIDs maintain perfect mash temp using the pump and moving wort through the coil. What are PIDs?
Proportional integral derivative. What?
Oh, that explains
it. Controller.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's it's a controller that uses like predictive math to control the ramp and slope of everything that trying to reach a particular setting.
Temperature. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons of this guy adding his stir to his mash tun?
Well, like we were talking earlier, stirring will give you a homogeneous mash, which is a good thing. Yet, I wouldn't stir it forever. I think you stir it when you're getting in, and then that's it. And there might be reasons you cut the bed, later, but
during the sparge,
yeah. Generally, no problem with it. Just make sure you're up enough off the bottom that you're not kind of screwing with things. To me, this guy sounds like he likes to tinker and likes to put, technology into the brewing, and that's a big part of what he enjoys. So I would say, go for it. I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and I think, he'll have fun, adding another piece to it.
Mm-hmm. I had one for a while, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I one of my systems I had built a mash stirrer like that. And it helped, but eventually it was in the way, and I went back to stirring by hand.
Mm-hmm.
So why wasn't it in the way back when it was helping at the beginning?
Well, it was the first 5 batches on it was novel, and hey, it's improving things a little bit. But again, you don't want to have it on the whole time. You want it because you're going to recirculate and clarify and so on.
Maybe a mixer that you drop in. It's got multiple paddles at different levels.
Yeah.
Far enough off the bottom. You drop it in. It's got wings that rest on the sides of the kettle, and you stir it up with that while you're initially, and then you just lift the whole thing out and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and then maybe use it to like run the rakes during the water, make sure everything's not compacting and so on.
Yeah, at Heretic we have 4 separate vessels. We got mash mixer, we got the lauter, we got the kettle, we got the whirlpool. And any mixing we do, it's all done in the mash mixer. Then we pump it all over to the lauter. And then we really don't run the rakes unless there's a problem. We don't cut the bed unless there's any sort of issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Another fine show, all brought to you by your great questions you ask by submitting them to brewstrong at thebrewingnetwork.com. So we really appreciate that. You guys provide us a lot of great grist for our mash of a show. And can't go wrong. I tell you can't go wrong with any of our fine sponsors.
That's right.
Blickman Engineering. Go check them out. Blickman with 2 N's. Innovating your brew day. Check out Adam and Eve, adamandeve.com. Lots of great adult enjoyables there at incredibly low prices and great customer service.
Well, we're also supposed to promote other BN shows, which I blew right past. So,
hey,
the Session Monday nights and the Sour Hour Wednesdays and Brew Strong again later this month on Fridays.
And Brewing with Style. Yeah, also on Mondays. And we got the Plissé.
Tuesdays.
Tuesday. We got the Plissé.
They all blur together.
We got the Tasty McDole. We got it all. We got it going on around here. I'll tell you, if you enjoy what we do, check out the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com/store. Lots of goodies in there. Books that John's written, books that I've written, books that John and I have written together.
That's right.
And glassware, hoodies, hats, everything you could want. When you sport that gear, when you buy that stuff, it all goes to the bottom line. Brewing Network really helps keep shows like this on the air. So until then, everybody, I want you to brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.